Welcome to Uncle Joseph Language Center. How? Questions, intermediate. How long have you been here? How long have you been learning French? How did you improve your Japanese? How do you plan to make a living? How has the internet changed your daily life? How did you use the internet to make money? How much free time do you have in the evenings? How many hours a day do you spend watching TV? How did the police know where the thief was? How many friends have you made on Facebook? How many messages do you receive per week? How often does your child use the internet? How do you deal with your troubles? How did you get rid of your phobias? How has your illness affected your lifestyle? How many languages can your children speak? How long have you known that man? How does noise pollution affect your life? How can people act so irresponsibly? How did you solve your problem with bank loans? How much would a computer like this cost? How would you feel if you were in my place? How does it feel to be a famous man? How many hours does this issue take? How many nights will guests stay with us? How did you know he was the murderer? How did you discover these historical ruins? How do you prefer to pay off your debt? How did she respond to these accusations? How did the incident affect them? How dangerous do you think it is? How reliable is your friend? How dare you fool us? How do they celebrate the fest? How can we fulfill our duty to our parents? How many countries have you been to so far? How can you forget such a disastrous incident? How else could I have said? How could I know they would be late? How could you make such a terrible mistake? How did you know I'd be here? How am I going to afford all these costs? How long will your journey take? How can you expect such behavior from me? How much do I owe you for this favor? How do you know which district I live in? How does it feel to be a mother? How can you be so indifferent to the poor? How much money do you think he has in the bank? How can you be sure that he is not a liar? How long did it take to read that novel? How many questions did they answer correctly? How many nights did you sleep during your illness? How could you go there without my permission? How can a person live without money in a huge city? How will we know if the news is true? How could such an incredible event occur? How does loneliness feel? How does it feel to be in love? How much money should we give them? How does one endure these insults? How did they know we were there? How did he bear such an accusation? How did the incident affect them? How do these songs make you feel? How did you overcome your fear of heights? How can you enjoy this boring job? How dangerous do you think it is? How reliable is your friend? How can you refuse such an offer? How do you explain his behavior? How did he give that perfect speech? How can we avoid silly arguments? How did you get the teacher's attention? How can you approve such a deal? How did you get this disease? How old do you think my father is? How much time do you spend playing computer games?